Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says there will be no temporary ceasefire unless all hostages held by Hamas are freed. That is despite Secretary of State Antony Blinken calling for a pause today as he met with Israeli leaders in Tel Aviv. Meantime, in his first public remarks since the conflict began, Hezbollah's leader Hassan Nasrallah praised Hamas's attacks on Israel, while adding that Hezbollah's primary goal is a ceasefire. He said the possibility of a larger regional conflict with Israel is a, quote, realistic option. Joining us now to discuss is Leon Panetta. He's a former Secretary of Defense and CIA Director in the Obama administration. Sir, thank you so much for being with us. The leader of Hezbollah making a lot of threats, not offering many specifics, though. How precarious do you think the situation is right now along Israel's northern border?
I don't think there's any question but that the situation remains precarious. We're in the middle of the war. Israel is proceeding to go after Hamas. If they're right, and they have in fact taken out Hamas leaders and are continuing to do that, if Hamas feels that their back is against the wall, there's no question in my mind that they're going to ask for help. And they'll turn to Iran, obviously turn to Hezbollah, all of Iran's proxies in the region, from Iraq down to Yemen. And so I think the potential for a possible expansion of this war is real.
Secretary, CNN has learned that the U.S. military is sending surveillance drones to fly over Gaza to try to help the IDF locate hostages. What can you tell us about the capabilities of those drones, especially in a situation where the hostages are likely being held in tunnels underground?
Well, I think it's very important if you're going to do the kind of targeting that I think is necessary to be able to go after Hamas, you're going to have to not only use drones, you're going to have to use human intelligence as well. That's pretty much what we did in going after Al-Qaeda after 9/11. And we could not have been able to establish those targets without the help of drones, but also without the help of human intelligence, people on the ground. So I'm hoping they can get that kind of combination working with them, because that is the most effective way to make sure that you are accurate in going after Hamas.
President Biden and his administration has been urging Israel and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to consider pausing its operation in Gaza for a series of different humanitarian objectives. Netanyahu is determined to press ahead and not have any kind of cessation of hostilities. What's the correct course of action, you think, from both a political and a military perspective, if you were advising the Prime Minister?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that Secretary Blinken went to the area and asked for that kind of humanitarian pause. I think it's very important for the United States at the highest level to stay in touch with the leadership, not just in Israel, but in the countries that adjoin Israel. Look, this is a situation where the issue is going to be, is the price right? For Netanyahu, he obviously is in the middle of a war. His tanks are there, his troops are there. They're going after Hamas. He's not particularly interested in slowing that process down. We all understand that. On the other side, Hamas is holding these hostages, and very frankly, they don't care a lot about the human side of these hostages. The question is going to be, what kind of price do they get if they're going to release the hostages? So right now, I don't know that the price is right on either side. What could possibly help is to be able to develop an approach where you want Hamas to release the hostages, but in return, they're going to get the release of Palestinian prisoners. That could, I think, be possibly the kind of price that might result in that kind of deal being fulfilled.
As those negotiations, those conversations are ongoing, specifically to get hostages out, I'm wondering what you make of that apparent disagreement between the United States and Israel over the correct course of action to take on a pause.
Well, look, I think the president's been right to urge a pause. There is a pause that is necessary in order to be able to provide the humanitarian relief that is critical for the Palestinians, and it's critical for others that obviously have been injured in this war. So it's the right thing to do. And I think, from my own experience, I think the key is to continue to pressure the Israelis to be able to provide not only a pause, but to make it possible to get humanitarian aid into Gaza, so that we can provide the food and the care that is essential to deal with those that have been injured. I think if Israel needs to know that while there is a lot of support, obviously, for their ability to defend their country and go after Hamas, that in order for them to be able to maintain their credibility, they also have to keep an eye on how to provide humanitarian relief to those that have been hurt.
Secretary Leon Panetta, thanks so much for sharing your time and perspective with us.
Good to be with you.
Of course.